to go sideways. There we go.
Oh, good. Hello, Josh.
Hi.
How have you been?
Good. How about you?
Good. Busy. Springtime, so I'm ready for vacation in about 8 days.
Nice. Vacation. I don't think I've had a vacation in 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a mom of 2 kids and I'm a teacher, so spring break to me is nothing. But reading, Hallmark movies, running, weightlifting, and nothing.
Say hi, Charlie.
Aw, so cute. Hi, Charlie.
I let Charlie be in on this one because she gets mad when I kick her out of the room.
No problem. Happy to have another guest. Well, Josh, again, thank you for your time and flexibility to come on to the Cat Jack podcast to talk about money of your talent.
Thank you.
First, can you tell me about your experience about the first movie, Americana? How did that start? How did your love for filming or coming up with the film for Americana?
Well, I always wanted to make films since I was a kid, and I got into photography like 13 years ago. And I always had in the back of my mind, as I'm doing photography, part of the reason I was doing it was to learn filmmaking. And I was invited to this dinner of this guy who ran these secret operations to go undercover and save children from being trafficked. And I think he was doing it very on the hush. So it was like a confidential event, and they were raising money for it. And, at that point, I think he'd saved a couple hundred kids. And I was so moved by the stories that when I decided to make my first film, I wanted to make it about that, and also about, the characters and their stakes that they go through to try to save this kid, but also in a non-traditional way where most anti-trafficking films are these big action things, but I wanted this to be a little bit more about, the heart of the characters. And so I wrote the first short film kind of like a TV show pilot where, you get introduced to the characters and you find out what's going on, and then you end on a mystery. And so that's kind of how we wrote it. And then we went off, and I had never directed or acted in a narrative, so I was learning how to do it while doing it. And which is my favorite way of learning, make the pressure so high that there's no room for failure, that it makes me perform at the highest focus. And anyway, and then we made the film, and we premiered it in Texas, and eventually released it out to the world on YouTube.
Yeah, after you brought out the movie with the movie poster and the trailer, a lot of us, especially the Hallmark world and Tyler Hans fandom, we were just like very impressed, and we were very amazed of your talent, how you perceive your directing skills as well as writing the script of Americana. And yeah, it's a very important social issue these days with human trafficking that's a matter with ladies, men, especially children. And I was really very touched and kept me the edge of my teeth. I'm like, did he find the daughter? Or what's going to happen? Or like, oh no, or what if? And the trailer, I was like, that's it. You gotta do some more, and then finally you were thinking about, okay, I want to make this to a full movie length, and that requires money. fundraising, donation for whatever you need to be able to make a full-length movie.
Exactly. We've written a script for the movie now, and we need to do some revisions, and then I've signed on some bigger names to be in it, and then we have to go get the money and then make it. So in the meantime, I got inspired and I wrote and directed a new film called Ride or Die.
We'll get to that in a little bit. For Americana, I'm not sure if you have heard of a different movie. I can't remember, because when you were talking about it, you were talking about the main character and his experience saving children from being trafficked into other states or other countries with drugs or selling for them for different reasons. The whole spectrum of human trafficking. There was a movie called, I think it was called The Sound of Freedom.
Yeah.
That movie reminded me a little bit of that. I was like, oh, I watched that movie and it's just very raw, but got very inspiring because we don't really have enough of those people who will go undercover or try to stop it from happening all over the world.
Well, remember I told you that dinner I went to years ago that inspired Americana? The guy who ran that dinner, his name's Tim. The Sound of Freedom is about him. So that movie is about the guy who inspired me to make Americana.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah. And he has a nonprofit, and he's one of the best people out there saving lives.
So that's really nice how your film Americana made like a connection with the Sound and Freedom and the big screen, and how we could be able to spread the message everywhere in the world about how important or how terrible human trafficking can be and how dangerous it could be. That may come back, that may not come back.
Yeah, it's I'm watching a TV show right now called The Lioness, and there's an episode about human trafficking, and it's crazy to see what that's like.
Yeah, I watched it, I binged it, I was like really good. I am really amazed with all of the talent of the whole cast. I've heard about it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna put it on my list. And then when I got around to running out of things to watch, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch it. I was hooked. I was maybe 2 episodes every night or something, but it was really, really good.
Yeah, I love it. I'm almost done with it. When I'm editing, I have it on the other screen to helps me get through editing. I'm uploading my film right now, so I keep keeping an eye. It's been uploading for 27 hours. And it has 30 minutes left.
Wow, so it takes like a long time depending on the movie length or how much space it takes. It takes a lot of time to upload.
Yeah, it's a really big file, so it takes a long time to upload because it's like full movie quality. Because this is a file that plays in movie theaters, so it's a really clear file. So it's what? Let's see. No, it's 130,000 megabytes. So that's a lot.
Wow. Hopefully you have a technology that we can play up with that big up a fire.
Exactly.
What made you want to direct or produce films of any kind, like music videos, short films, and films that matter to the people in the world?
When I was a little kid, I was obsessed with Star Wars in the 1980s, and I always wanted to make films. And when I was young, I saved up my allowance, and the first thing I ever bought was a book on special effects, industrial light and magic, and how to do practical effects for movies. And then when I was a little kid, my brother and I would do stunts. We would do all these tricks on our bikes and jump off buildings, and we wanted to be stunt guys. And And then many years later, I was doing other work. And then when I quit the work and decided I wanted to get into filmmaking, I asked a friend of mine back in 2008, a guy named Tyler, because I knew he was acting, and he said, "Oh, you should try producing since you're good with business." And then I produced a music video. Tyler helped, and then a week later, I was asked to go shoot a documentary, and Tyler and I went on this trip to Big Sur, and I first time I ever used a camera was on this documentary with a band called Band of Horses and one of the Beach Boys, and that's where I fell in love with the camera. And when I came back, I started photographing people, and I was obsessed, with making art. It was all I could think about. And within a couple of years, I was photographing, for Rolling Stone and Vanity Fair and all of these celebrities, but it was organic. It wasn't like I was trying to. I was just so obsessed with making art that people were reaching out to me, and the word of mouth started growing, and then I made the transition into directing music videos, and I did that for a number of years. And then my first ever short film was Americana, and then now Ride or Die, and now this year I'm gearing up to do my first ever full movie. So it just sort of, but it's always been my obsession since I was, 7 or 8 years old. So now I'm 42 and finally making my first movie.
That's amazing. Well, I'm sure everybody out there is like sitting so tight and waiting for the first ever release of the first full movie by you, Josh.
I hope so. Although my first movie might not be everyone's cup of tea. It's going to be a horror film about aliens, but it'll be really fun.
Yeah. What do you do? Do you enjoy directing or do you now enjoy acting? Because I know you had a part in both of your films, so given different perspectives from a director's perspective, producer's perspective, and then behind in front of the camera as an actor.
I really love both. It would be nice to do acting where I'm not directing and producing, so I can see what it's like to just be fully acting. But so far, I've only acted in things that I've directed. I love directing as well because I love to have all of the parts of the puzzle so that I can make the best story. I mean, ultimately, I'm obsessed with storytelling, so anything that helps make that happen. But I don't know if I love directing or acting better. I have a lot more experience directing. I'm new to acting, but both are fun for different reasons, Acting is I will say the more I act, the more I realize how hard it is and how the people that are good at it are, put in so much work. And I have a whole new respect for actors. But if I had to choose one, directing is definitely my first love.
Again, another follow-up question, how would you find a balance, with all of the roles and your position of the movie, like, okay, how do I change hat? Like, okay, you're in a directing position, and then when you are filming or working on making the movie and you shift to acting, I can't imagine how much of a switch or how much of a hat changing beyond these worlds for Americana and the newest project, Ride or Die.
Well, when I work on a film, I usually start with writing, and then I switch to producing, which is finding locations, raising funds, working on all the logistics. And then when it's time to wear the director hat, I'll stop and I'll just work on directing, storyboarding, shot list, figuring out the scenes. And then when I'm on set and it's time to act, once I call action, I'll just switch my brain off of worrying about anything but what I'm doing, and then I'll just act. And then when y'all cut, I'll still try to stay in the acting hat until we wrap a scene, and then I'll switch back. I have some upcoming projects where I'm just directing. But weirdly, because I'm wearing so many hats on these films, it's making me a better director and a better actor because it's challenging me to grow. And I kind of have this rule when I'm working on films that I always have to push outside my comfort zone, so I'm always growing and getting better. But anyway, it's really just like, doing what you're doing while you're doing it. So if I'm producing, and then I'll stop, and then I'll direct, and then I'll stop, and then I'll act, and just sort of, separating all of those different roles.
So how much time left between the two movies? Like with Americana project, were you like completely done but waiting for approval for the full script, and you jumped over to Ride or Die, or did you have like a couple of projects in the work and you pick up where you left off?
I mean, I have a number of projects that are in the works where I'm working with other people. So, I'll have meetings or I'm waiting sometimes months. And so then I'll work on another project. For example, I have a project that's currently being turned into a novel, a book, and a movie. And that could take, a couple of years before that comes out. And with Ride or Die, I was so inspired that as soon as I came up with the idea, I just went full time into writing the script, producing it. But that film took longer than Americana. Americana took me 4 months to make the whole thing. Ride or Die took me 6 months, and it's shorter than Americana, but it was more complicated. And next, I'm going to shoot a movie, and that could take a year to edit and finish. So we'll see. But it's also, I'm having to do other work for money and manage those things. So time changes based on life.
How did filming or the directing perspective from a photography perspective, because watching your films and looking at your different photography, you're very particular, you're very careful with your work and your talent, because you're trying to get the correct lighting or the correct location between day and night. So I'm sure there were a couple of challenges with both films trying to get the moon correct.
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of planning. I was very specific on the lighting and camera that I wanted. And then I traveled to the locations 6 weeks before. So I walked the locations, I studied the lighting. I communicated with my camera department a lot so that on the day of filming, we had a pretty good idea of what we wanted. And then, once I had the actors there and the scene, I could make final changes and then we run through the scenes. But, in this film, I'm very specific with every look I wanted throughout. And even the music, I had a very clear idea of what kind of music I wanted beforehand and what kind of performance I wanted. So that being said, we shot something that should have taken us 2 weeks. We shot it in 4 days with no money, no time, and no sleep. So it was quite the challenge. And when we wrapped, I was so exhausted on the final day, I don't even remember it because I was so tired. And when we wrapped, I was so happy to wrap so that I can just try to sleep for a couple of weeks. So that was quite challenging.
I try to get a whole bunch of projects, get it all done in a short time frame. Then after now the real work began with editing or fixing up things to make a good trailer or eventually a full movie when it comes to that time.
Yeah, exactly. And so now that the film's done, I still have all the work of sending it to film festivals and promoting it, and while I'm starting to work on my next film.
Yeah. Now, ride or die. How did you come up or feel inspired, created the script for what is the message behind Ride or Die?
I met this girl named Emma Kotos, who was a model while I was in LA. I was doing a photo shoot, and we became friends, and she inspired me to make the film. And I clearly saw the film immediately. So that night I wrote the script and I sent it to her, and she loved it so much that she offered to help pay to get the film made. And so, she put in a bunch of money, and then we raised money, and she worked closely with me to help produce it. But the point of the film is connection. Who's your ride or die? Who's your person in your life that you would, do anything for? And it's two people that are lonely, and they meet through very crazy circumstances, and in the end they find connection. And part of that comes from, like, in a world that can feel kind of crazy and divided. I think more connection and more communication and more love is important. And so even though it's kind of a crazy Western action, Quentin Tarantino type film, there's love in it. And so that's kind of what inspired it.
Or connecting to world famous gangster backstand in history called Bonnie and Clyde. That's what I completely think of. I love their own movies or documentaries about them. It's very fascinating. So I'm thinking, ride or die. Okay, bring it on.
Well, what's funny about that? What's funny about Bonnie and Clyde is I called my film a Bonnie and Clyde origin story. And when we were shooting the film in Texas, the diner we went to, the girl that owned the diner said, "Oh, Bonnie and Clyde had lunch here." So we ended up filming where Bonnie and Clyde used to eat, even though it's a Bonnie and Clyde type story. So that's crazy you said Bonnie and Clyde, because that the universe sort of...
It's amazing. I mean, I find it fascinating because how you short film or film make a connection back in history, or to connect it in something. That was like, ride or die. Okay, I'm thinking completely booked on in my mind came with Bonnie and Clyde because their story is really crazy, but got fascinating back in history.
Yeah, the crazy story, and it's a real story. And we filmed a robbery scene where they would eat lunch, so that's crazy.
That'll be very interesting when that comes. I'll be looking forward to that. I really enjoyed the trailer. So, how long did it take you guys for you and your crew on both Americana and Ride or Die to prepare for a trailer, like a short film or a promo, before you provide the full length, if it happened?
Well, it took me about a month to get the trailer.
How long did it take you to come up with the trailer?
About a month.
Yeah.
A month. So after we filmed it, first I recovered, but I immediately started working on the trailer. And then I had to travel back to Florida. And we had a hurricane that had come through, so I had to deal with that. And then a couple of weeks, and we used a Chris Stapleton song in the trailer. So my sound guy had to do some stuff to that, and we released that a month after we filmed, and then it took me another 4 months to edit and finish the film. And I'll send you the film so that you can watch it. So you can have a little peek of it. But yeah, anyway. And now it's going out to film festivals.
Definitely. I'll be happy to look at it and just give it a preview or a review. I would be happy to do that. Like I do that with books or other Hallmark movies.
Great, yeah. You can leave a review in the comment section on the YouTube link.
Definitely. With both movies, I think your dream, I know Americana was like a short film of the cast that had been in Americana. Do you wish to keep them and add a little bit more of a new cast making the full movie?
Sorry.
Because like the people who have played in the Americana, we plan to keep them on for the movie when the time comes.
We'll see. It all depends on everyone's schedule and when it gets made, because the story is changing. But I actually used some of the cast from Americana and crew from Americana in Ride or Die. So there's a scene in the beginning when I talk to the waitress, and that's the girl who starred in Americana. And then I try to use the same people as much as possible. If I like them and they're great, we want to build a film family. So when we make the movie, I'm sure there'll be a certain amount of people that will be in the movie that were in the short film.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we definitely want to bring Andrew back.
Yeah, that was a really good cameo. He did had posed really well as the detective, from what I remember, correct?
Yeah, he was a sheriff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So hopefully he'll come back on and do the further movie. That would be really nice.
Yeah, exactly. That's the plan.
What are you going forward in the film industry or in your photography career?
And I want to start making, big movies and documentaries, and tell important stories that move audiences. I love great quality movies, so I want to make good quality movies that are compelling and entertaining. And in photography, I want to continue to make art and photograph musicians and actors and people. And I actually just directed 4 music videos and did like 7 photo shoots, but they haven't come out yet, so I can't post them. But some of my favorite work I've ever made. I'm really just getting back into the entertainment industry after being sick, so I'm just getting back into the swing of things, and it's been really fun to be able to create art again.
And I really enjoy the photography you have posted on your social media as well as your website. And I should like how you capture it at the right time or use the right equipment. And of course, I like all kinds of photos you've done, landscape, people, really amazing.
Thank you. That is important for me to hear, because sometimes, being an artist is a lot of alone time. And then to get feedback from people kind of helps inspire me.
Yeah. What is your favorite theme? What is your favorite, I don't know, genre or theme to photograph? Like landscape, nightlife, people, the ocean, anything.
It depends on my mood that day. So if I wake up that day and I want to photograph a person or I want to photograph the ocean, I really, as an artist, I listen to myself. So whatever my intuition is telling me that day. And sometimes, I'll have a few months where I'm obsessed with photographing landscape, and then I'll have a few months where I don't want to do that and I want to photograph people. So it really has to do with what I'm going through in life at the time, For example, I've just been working almost every day for 6 weeks. So the last 2 days, I have been outdoors more and trying to look at nature and life so that, I can get that back in my life, because I've been indoors for 6 weeks. So it really just depends on what I'm going through that day.
Would you ever consider creating your own photography book with all of your favorite shots in a book? Because I know this recent couple months ago that you have released a beautiful, amazing photo collaboration of a photo book between you and Taylor Hines, which we were all thankful for.
I would be honored to make my own book. I've had a few people ask about it, and I would love to do it. It costs a lot of money to make. I need like $15,000. And I also want to do a big art show of all of my fine art. So I plan at some point to do an art show and maybe a book, and then people can come to the show and the gallery and buy art and or buy a book. But that is a plan in the future.
Yeah. Hopefully someday in the future you will make it work, because we would love to see more of your art in a book or just somewhere out there. I mean, I'm working and trying to save and trying to figure out what my favorite art piece of yours is. Probably one of the landscape pieces, because I have everything else in the book, so that's all good.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, a number of Hallmark fans have bought my fine art, and so it's been hanging up around the world, and that makes me the happiest because the fine art to me is the most personal and most important to me. Because the landscape is my fine art work is probably some of the most important stuff that I do, and so when I get to do it, and then when I know that somebody else gets to experience that joy in their home or their office, it makes me very happy.
Do you have any advice for anybody who wants to get into directing or script writing as well as photography?
Yeah, I mean, what I've learned is if you constantly learn the tools and you go and you do it and you practice and you listen to your intuition, you learn rules and stuff, but at the end of the day, you got to listen to yourself. And then you go and you fail and you do it again and you learn and you fail and you do it again and you learn and you fail. Eventually you start figuring it out, and then you just start getting better and better and better. And the art takes a lot more work than you would imagine. So imagine how hard it would be, and then it's 1,000 times harder. And so if you do it for some other reason, like to be famous or get recognition, you're going to have a very painful time. But if you're in love with what you're doing and you do it for you and you're passionate and it makes you happy, then it never gets old to you. Because, I work 7 days a week, all day, every day, and I don't have any other life, but I love what I do, so I feel fulfilled. So that's it. It's just work your butt off, learn how to get better at it, and listen to your intuition so you make sure that your voice is in the art.
Great advice. What would you? I'm trying to think. What next for the two movies? I know you have been accepted to a couple of film festivals, I believe.
Yes, we've been accepted to 5 so far. We're nominated for 4 of them. So I'm going to be sending out to film festivals. We have a big one in St. Pete, Florida, at the end of April, is playing at the AMC at a film festival. So people are welcome to go to that if they want. So if there's fans that want to go to St. Pete and watch that, they can. And then my next thing is I'm going to be preparing for a movie that hopefully we'll be shooting this summer.
Do you have any favorite location, like how you determine the correct or appropriate location for your film before you even start anything?
It depends on the film. I try to choose locations that enhance the aesthetic of the scene. But my favorite locations to go to are usually like the ocean or the mountains. But again, it depends on my mood. Sometimes I want a hot desert, and sometimes I want to be up in the mountains in the snow. And I like adventure, so I like things to change and to try new things. And so yeah, and also if that guy has to go through the door, he can.
Right. Now with those two movies, Americana and Ride or Die, deep and meaningful messages within human trafficking and like a commitment, having a partner and a soulmate forever, my Ride or Die. What kind of messaging you hope for everybody else out in the world who will hopefully see both of these films and connect?
For me, the message is like, there's a lot of good people in the world, and we should really fight to love each other, and you know, and go above and beyond for people that you love. And that's it. I mean, if I had a kid and they got trafficked, I would become John Wick and kill every single person who hurt my kid. Just kidding. If people are listening to that, but you know what I mean. I'd go above and beyond to save the kid. And when I got sick and almost died, the big thing I learned was a lot of things in life you stress out about aren't a big deal. What really matters is like people that love you and people that you love. And the most valuable thing in life is memories you create with those people. Because when you die, you can't take any of your stuff with you. So hopefully I can inspire people to love each other and to go above and beyond for each other.
I agree with you. Now that question, I mean, I love photography. I mean, I am in, what do you call it, immersion photographer. Maybe I'm still learning on the different lens and everything. Right now, I'm planning to plan it on the night sky. And my friend had like a really good kind of lens. I was like, shoot, I need that lens because I want to take like really close pictures. So I'm curious, what was your first camera or the first equipment you have had or played with when it comes to photography?
The first camera I stole was a Canon 7D, which was Tyler's camera. He just bought it, and then I basically borrowed it for like a year. And he let me borrow it. He was very helpful, and so he helped my career a lot. And then now I have what's called a Canon 1DX Mark II, and it's just a great camera, but my skill has now far exceeded that camera, so I want to get a new camera, but the camera I want is like $20,000, so I gotta wait. So maybe, if a few movies do good, I'll buy it. Actually, the camera I really want is $65,000 plus $10,000 a lens, so you can easily spend, a couple $100,000 on equipment, but I also shoot on old film cameras, and I also believe like you could do a lot with the equipment you have. It just depends how good of an artist you are,
Have you ever like, I know, probably like a duh question, but when it comes to photography, do you do like old school photography where you like take out the film and practice or develop that kind of film?
No, I do have a film development kit, but I send it to a lab. My favorite lab is a lab in Los Angeles called the Icon, so I just ship it to them, and they know how I like my film, and they do an amazing job. I think they're the best lab in the whole country.
And more like digital kind of concept instead of like do it all by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I shoot digital and film. I tend to shoot film more for my fine art, and then for client stuff, I shoot digital. And then sometimes for bigger clients, I'll shoot a little bit of film. But nothing is as great as film, so it's just very expensive. I mean, I just developed a roll of film for my last shoot, and it was like $20 for the roll and then $45 to develop it, so it can get expensive.
Okay, to now conclude the episode, I appreciate for you to come on, but is there anything that we could do at band to help you to move on to the next step or the next level of your film, like Americana or Ride or Die?
Yeah, I'm gonna get ready to launch a crowdfunder to raise money for my movie. So when we release that, anyone that could contribute and share it and spread the word, that's how we're making these projects, is we're funding it through people that support us, and kind of help grow our family of supporters. So, if you enjoy what we're doing and you want to be part of our filmmaking, family. For example, in Ride or Die, there's a number of Hallmark fans that have big credits because they donated a lot of money. So I think there's like 3 or 4 Hallmark fans that are listed in important roles on the film because they helped make the movie possible. So, stuff like that's important.
Okay, one last question. Who, who would your favorite director of any movie or music video?
Steven Spielberg. He's probably the best director overall. And the music video is probably Spike Jonze, who also directed movies. Yeah.
Is there a movie when you were growing up? Is there a movie that really inspired you to jump your career in the film industry?
Yeah, when I was a kid, the original first 3 Star Wars movies inspired me in Indiana Jones. So I grew up in the 80s. So that's really spoke to me as a kid, and the Goonies, and we had so many great movies in the 80s.
Yeah, I love all of them too. I'm like a Star Wars and Indiana Jones. Like I would have like a marathon on the weekend with my son. Star Wars, and we would watch the marathon maybe 2 times in the entire weekend. Like Star Wars for the entire weekend. My daughter will be walking by, she'll be like, again, no, this is the second round, and it's only Sunday.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think I've seen Star Wars 50 times.
Yeah. That's me when it comes to Hallmark movies. I will watch them on repeat or whatever they're on. I'm like, keep going.
Yeah, they shot a Hallmark movie where I live. I think it's called The Taste of Love. They shot in Dunedin.
Yeah, that was a very good movie. That was very good.
Yeah, so that's where I live.
Okay, to wrap up everything, sometimes I give an opportunity for the guys if they have any comments they want to share before wrap it up or ask any questions, not to put you on the spot.
No, just look out for our campaign for the movie, and keep sending me messages and commenting on the videos and sharing your thoughts. That really helps us. It's really beautiful to see any sort of effect that art can make on people. So we want to keep building a good family of supporters, and so we're here for it. And thank you.
Thank you again, Josh. Once I get this podcast edited and bring it up, I will include all of the link for the trailers and all of the possibility links for fundraising or donating to make the project reach the next level for all of us fan movies.
I love it. Thank you so much.
All right, well, thank you, Josh. Have a great evening. I hope you have a great rest of the week.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.